Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video I'm going to talk about how the iOS 14 changes, the changes that are happening to Facebook ads right now, are going to affect retargeting. What is Facebook ads retargeting going to look like? Now, a lot of Facebook advertisers use retargeting very heavily, us included, within their Facebook advertising sales funnels. It's something that probably one of the things that, alongside things like lookalike audiences and other targeting options, really brought Facebook ads, to the scene in a big way, because any business that's generating any sort of website traffic, well, it was basically a no-brainer for them to at least run a retargeting campaign, and from there they may have experimented with other features and things along those lines. But you can start with retargeting. Retargeting campaigns nearly always deliver fantastic results. Are they under threat from the iOS 14 changes? That's what we're discussing in this video. Before I get into that, I just want to very quickly ask you to smash that like button. Please click that thumbs up button. That'd be very much appreciated and help me out. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're new and haven't done so already. So I'm in an example Facebook ad account. I'm just in the audiences section because I want to get into some of this stuff around audiences and custom audiences and retargeting. Now, I'm sure most of you watching will know that you create a custom audience and that's what you retarget. Those are the people that you retarget. If you don't know the details around how to create retargeting audiences, how to create custom audiences, I'll include links in the video description below that will explain all of that, so you can check all that out, all the detail. But iOS 14, now, what do we know about this? It's still an ongoing thing. It's still in the process of being implemented, the changes right now as I record this video. So we can't definitively say what it's going to look like yet. So everything I say here is going to be based on some stuff we do know, some stuff we think is going to happen, and may well change. I just want to make that clear to start with. So before I get into the details of how it's going to affect the specifics, the first thing we need to talk about is that the differences to retargeting, and specifically what I'm talking about here is website visitors, because actually, in fact, I'll change up the order of how I was going to do things. So obviously we're in audiences section within Facebook Ads Manager. We've got create audience, custom audience, right? Now this brings up all the different sort of sources that you can use to retarget. Okay, so for example, you could retarget people that have watched a video of yours on Facebook. You could retarget people that have visited your website. You could retarget people that are on an email list that you've uploaded, right? Not all of these are going to be affected by the iOS 14 changes. We know that primarily the iOS 14 changes are going to affect definitely app activity, custom audiences. So your ability to track what people do on a third-party app, or your ability to track what people do on your website. Let's say you click off Facebook, someone says they don't want to be tracked, you have very limited visibility over what that person is doing on your website. And that means that custom audiences and retargeting made from these two are likely to be affected somewhat. And I'm going to get into by how much and how significant that is in a minute. But for example, if someone watches a video of yours on Facebook and that's the audience that you're retargeting, well, there's no reason why that should be affected, okay? Facebook is still able to track all the activity that occurs in-app. So within Facebook, you can see you've got your sources and Facebook sources. So anything that occurs within Facebook, more or less, should stay the same. I haven't heard anything to the contrary. I don't see why it would. If someone interacts with a lead form, you're running a lead generation campaign, Facebook can track all that information. Same with people do stuff with your Facebook page, on your Instagram account, interact with your ads, all that sort of stuff. Okay, and obviously a few of the other options there. Likewise with a customer list. Now there may be some limits around match rates and things like that if Facebook's got a little bit less data on its users, the ability to match up the people on your list that you upload to actual users. And that's what Facebook needs to do. When you upload a list, Facebook basically needs to be able to go, we need to work out who on this list, which Facebook and Instagram accounts those people actually correspond to, because then that's who is populated within your audience and that's who Facebook puts ads in front of. Now, as things stand, Facebook's only normally able to match 40, 50%, sometimes less, of an audience. So if you upload a 10,000 person email list, your target audience may only be 4,000 people now, because they just can't match everyone. They can't work out who is who in terms of the person on your list matched up with the person on Facebook or Instagram, particularly if they're different email addresses. So that match rate might go down a bit if Facebook's got less data on some of its users, but I don't anticipate that being affected a huge amount. So that's sort of the first piece of good news that I'm giving. A lot of people are very worried about how retargeting is going to be affected with the changes to do with iOS 14. I think most of those people are worried about the website side of things, which I'll get to in a minute, because when most people talk about retargeting, that's kind of where they focus. But obviously you could retarget your email list. You can retarget, I mean, video viewers is a big one. A lot of people will retarget people that watch videos of theirs on Facebook and Instagram, lead forms, of course, and on Facebook and Instagram account stuff as well. So these aren't going to be affected at all, as far as I can tell, which is fantastic. Customer lists, email lists, things that you upload, I think are barely going to be affected, maybe a little bit, but not by a huge amount. Then we get onto these over here. Now, so if someone opts out of being tracked by Facebook and Instagram, it seems that they are highly unlikely, basically we can assume at this point, that they are not going to be able to be added to your retargeting audience based on app activity or website visitors. Now, that sounds scary, and it's certainly not ideal, but I don't think it's disastrous, okay? There's a few reasons for that. A, obviously the only people that opt out, they can only be iOS users in the first place, right? It's not going to be going out to Android users. So this varies between businesses, but you could probably roughly say 50-50 for the majority of people are going to come from one, 50 from the other. As I said, some is more like 70 one way, 30 the other, so it changes, but let's say roughly 50-50. So for most people, half your audience, you're still going to fully be able to add those to, for example, website, visitor custom audiences, and then you're going to be able to retarget those people, no problem. Then within, let's say, the 50% or so of people that this could apply to, we are only not going to be able to retarget the ones that opt out. Now, most people are saying, well, surely 95% of people are going to opt out. And that may well happen. We don't know yet. I suspect it's not going to be as high as most people think. I don't think that many people are going to... lots of people are, but I don't think as many people are going to opt out of being tracked by Facebook and Instagram as we think. And the example that I can give for that, and I've actually heard this comment a lot, and I've spoken with some friends in the industry about this, since all the GDPR stuff was brought in and the increased privacy stuff about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we now all have to display on our websites, don't we? Accept cookies, accept da-da-da-da. The way those notifications are presented, your eye is immediately drawn to the accept all button, and the vast I know this, the data is clear on this, the vast majority of people select accept cookies, accept all. Basically, they just want the notification to go away. Now, if Facebook, on both Facebook and Instagram, is able to do that sort of thing, we might see 90% of people actually opt in to being tracked by Facebook and Instagram, and therefore the impact on our website audiences and app audiences for retargeting purposes is going to be minimal. So I think that the impact on Facebook ads retargeting for website visitors, as an example, there is going to be something that we feel, because if people opt out, they are not going to be added to our all website visitors. They're not going to be added to people who visited specific pages, custom audiences. But we don't yet know exactly what that number is going to be, and it might not be as bad as people fear. The absolute worst case scenario that it could possibly be would be that your iOS visitors, people visiting on iOS devices, are not able to be added to your custom audiences, which reduces the size of your retargeting audiences, which will reduce the effectiveness of your retargeting campaigns. I mean, your campaigns will just be as effective, but you won't get as much volume from those people as a result. So it's not ideal, but I don't think in those cases it's disastrous. There's one other thing that I really want to highlight here, and you have to remember that Facebook can track any activity that people do within Facebook and Instagram absolutely without problem. So if, for example, you've currently got a retargeting ad set or a campaign, however you've set it up, and one of the audiences that you're retargeting is all website visitors, okay? If the majority of your traffic is coming from Facebook and Instagram, which it certainly is for a lot of our clients and a lot of businesses that follow me, Facebook might not be able to track who has reached your website, what they did on the website, etc. But Facebook can see who clicked off of Facebook and Instagram to get to your website. So Facebook has that data, and they are certainly going to use it. So if, for example, I was running campaigns for last year and I generated, 30% of my sales through my retargeting ad set, okay? And now going forward, my retargeting audience of website visitors is going to be, let's take worst case scenario, it's going to be half as big. Instead of generating 30% of my sales from that audience, I now generate 15% of my sales from that audience. Does that mean that you're just missing out on 15% of your sales? I don't think so, because whilst it might not be coming from within your retargeting ad set, Facebook is going to know who clicked on your ad in amongst your cold audiences. And they might not be able to track them when they get to your website, but they can track that they clicked off of Facebook, they demonstrated interest. So what Facebook will do is they will put ads in front of people that click on your ads again and again over the subsequent, days, maybe even weeks after they first clicked. In effect, within your cold audience, some retargeting is going to take place. This happens already. So if you interact with an ad on Facebook, it's why if you look at your conversion campaign, you may see that you've got a reach that is only 10% of your total audience size, but you've got a frequency of like 2.5. Well, that's because the people that have engaged with your ads have been showing your ads multiple times, even within your cold audiences, not just within your retargeting ad sets or retargeting campaigns. So that's going to happen to some extent. Facebook might make this more explicit as well in terms of specifically being able to retarget people that clicked on an ad. You can actually already, if I click into here, for example, if I go to Facebook page, click next. Okay, and then I look under events, I can scroll down to this section, people who clicked any call to action button. Okay, so that's already a sort of retargeting audience that could be used as a sort of proxy, not quite as good, but could be used as a bit of a proxy for all website visitors, especially if you're sending the vast majority of your website traffic is coming from Facebook and Instagram ads. Hopefully that makes sense how that would work, because obviously if they're clicking, through to the website, click on the call to action button, then they're hopefully visiting your website. This will include accidental clicks, which is unfortunate, but there we go. So will Facebook ads retargeting be affected as an overall sort of area of Facebook advertising? Yes. Is that going to be a negative impact? Probably. Is it going to be really significant? I don't think so. As we've already discussed, not all areas of retargeting are being negatively affected. Lots of on Facebook sources and things like that are absolutely fine. From within those ones that are affected, website app activity, it's not going to affect the Android users, and it's not going to affect any iOS users that opt into being tracked, which may be more than we think. So I don't think it's the end of the world. It's not great, but don't panic about it. I've said this with a few other iOS related changes. I don't think this should be a thing that makes or breaks your entire Facebook advertising process. What it may mean for Facebook advertisers, this is something I've been advocating for a long time, is that you have simpler sales funnels. So instead of having lots of, 4 layers of retargeting, 5 layers of retargeting, that's basically not going to work. It hasn't been the best approach, I don't think, for a couple of years anyway. I think you want to simplify things, give Facebook more flexibility in terms of how they operate your ad campaigns. But it's just going to accelerate that process. So really, you're not going to want too much of a system where you have like one step, retarget those people. They take that step, then you retarget them again with those, because you're going to have more and more people dropping out of that process as a result of this stuff. There's still going to be plenty of retargeting. It might switch to more things like people who click on, who interact with your Facebook ads, right? It might be more people who watch videos as opposed to on website stuff. So if you're running like an omnipresence content campaign, you could do it based on people who've watched your videos and have that as your audience, or you could upload an email list or something like that. So I think there's going to be a bit of a shift away from website and app retargeting, a bit more of a shift to things like customer lists and on Facebook sources. So there is going to be some changes there and some things to work out if you are heavily reliant, for example, on website retargeting. But there are answers to these things. There are ways to figure that out. So hopefully you're not too concerned about the setup, even though, I'll be perfectly honest, it's not ideal. I wish we didn't have to deal with it as Facebook advertisers, but we do. Okay, before you go, a couple of free things I want to mention. The first is a free webinar we've created called 3 Killer Facebook Advertising Strategies to Double or More Your Revenue. Now, this webinar focuses on sales funnels, all of them pretty simple. I mean, omnipresence content is more complex, but you can still do it even with the new retargeting setup for sure. But these sales funnels are ones we use for our clients, very much tried and tested, very much proven, generated millions of dollars with each. They work, right? And in this webinar, I explain, look, if you've got this type of business, you want to use this sales funnel. If you've got this type of business, you want to use this sales funnel. I've mentioned omnipresence content a couple of times in this video. You don't want to do that for all businesses. You want to do that for specific types of businesses. And I explain all that. So it's completely free to watch this webinar, about 70 minutes long, very much worth your time. Go ahead and click on the link in the video description below, completely free. You can go ahead and watch it right now. Other free thing I want to mention is our Facebook ads mastermind group. So it's our free Facebook group, 66,000 members as of the recording this video. Amazing community full of people just like you. Facebook advertisers want to get better results. They're asking questions, getting them answered. Brilliant community. I'm in there doing free live trainings quite regularly. If that sounds like something you want to be part of, completely free to join. Again, link is in the video description below. Go ahead and click on that, and we'd very much like to have you in there. And you know, it's one of the biggest communities of Facebook advertisers in the world now, which is really cool. So yeah, hopefully this video has been useful. Please give it a like, a thumbs up. If you could subscribe to my channel if you are new and haven't done so already, and of course comment below. Comment below to let me know if this is useful. Comment below if you've got questions or you disagree. Maybe pop them in the comments. I do see all the comments, even if I'm not able to respond to every single one. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye for now.